waiting for the fiscal cliff and European stability issues to be resolved.
Gary Burnison is CEO of Korn Ferry. Gary, good to have you here. Thanks for joining us. We'll get to your survey in just 1 second. But first, what do you think of today's jobs numbers? Do you believe them, and do they reflect what you're seeing?
Well, I've probably met with 100 CEOs over the last 4 months. I mean, no, it's more of the same. I mean, this is not a standing ovation for sure.
In terms of the numbers, so I'm assuming, A, you believe them, and B, that this is just not a great number in terms of the way you look at it.
No, it's reality. I mean, this is a decade of readjustment, and there is a real fight for growth and relevancy today if you talk to any CEO. And CEOs today are looking to innovate, then hire, not hire, then innovate.
Gary, what sectors are you seeing where we're actually getting some real job growth, real hiring going on right now?
Well, the two most obvious are in healthcare. That'll be 20% of the economy, and technology. Those two are very, very strong. And on the other end of the spectrum is financial services, where there's just a heavy state of paralysis today.
What about the Wall Street sector? I understand that younger people are no longer seeking to work there. Is that because the salaries have come down so far?
Well, they've seen what happened over the last 4 years. I mean, everything is being re-regulated. But the real issue today is everything is just in time. You know, it's just in time for Spain. It's just in time for the fiscal cliff. You know, CEOs can read balance sheets. And in America, for every $3, we're spending $4. That is just not sustainable. And so people want to see the plan from here to there. I mean, that's really the big issue here.
Is the fiscal cliff. This is the 69% are waiting for the fiscal cliff and European stability issues to be resolved. We could be waiting a very long time for those things, right?
Well, that's why I say this is a decade of readjustment. I mean, this is the new normal.
I was hoping you meant the last decade, not the coming decade.
We've already lived through the readjustment. We're waiting for the new one.
Really? You're talking about the coming decade.
He is, yeah.
Look, it's not very encouraging when you look at the S&P where it is today. That's where it was in '99, right? Look at average household income today. It's down 10% since 1999. I mean, that's certainly not encouraging.
Steve,
and if you're a CEO...
Go ahead, I'm sorry. Finish your point.
Well,
Steve,
look, if you're a CEO today, you know, there's only 3 levers of growth that you can pull. You don't have this conspicuous consumer anymore to rely on that CEOs had. So you can either innovate, you can consolidate, or you've got to look to the world's 7 billion population for growth. Those are the 3 levers you have today.
Yep. Steve, 115,000 jobs created, certainly nothing to write home about, and the private sector job growth was even a little bit more anemic. Did you see anything in this jobs report that gave you some particular cheer about the future? Give us a little good news.
I mean, what I thought was interesting was, remember we talked about the 2 surveys, right? So there's good stuff in the weak survey and bad stuff in the stronger survey that make you think that really they're not telling really a different picture about the economy. For example, the average hourly earnings up 0.3%, the work week ticking up. That's inside the payroll survey. But that business about it being a big surge in part-time employment for economic reasons, people who wanted a full-time job didn't get it, but did come into the workforce, that was a negative on that huge surge in household employment. So, I mean, I'm looking here, Bob. I'm not immune to the idea that we could be seeing a turning point here in jobs, but I'm not going to make that conclusion based on this report here. And I think what's interesting about the survey you're talking about here is that one of the reasons why executives are waiting for the fiscal cliff and the European crisis to be resolved is because they have the luxury to wait. If the customers were coming in the door, if the demand was visible, they wouldn't be waiting. They'd be hiring. And that's really what I think is critical here.
Gary, before we let you go, can you tell us what college graduates, give them some advice. What kind of jobs, what should they be looking into right now? What should they be majoring in so that they're going to have jobs when they get out?
Well, should I say stay in school? No, I mean, look, education determines a worker's earnings for life. So, you know, this may sound crazy. You got to follow your passion. I mean, you've got to actually enjoy what you're doing. And I would say something counterintuitive. I think over the next decade, there's going to be insourcing. That manufacturing in the Americas, in the United States, is actually going to turn.
We've already seen some of that.
You are already seeing some of that. The costs or, in China and elsewhere, it's exploding. It's going up 20 to 30% a year. So
yeah, it makes a lot of sense. When other parts of the
world
world are doing better, their wages are going to rise, and that competitive difference will eventually, I don't think go away completely, but certainly makes us more competitive in the future.
I don't know about follow your passion, though. A little concerned about
Bob,
that.
I
A
have
lot of
some
people
advice.
have. And we got a lot of English majors.
Come on.
All right,
Come
very good.
on.
Go ahead. All right. I'm not trying to throw cold water
Did you hear
on the
the
idea.
Steve Jobs commencement
go.
speech? Come on.
Gary,
Thanks,
Steve,
guys.
thanks very much.
Okay.
We got
Thank you.
40 minutes to go before the closing bell. Dow Jones Industrial Average essentially is flatlining here, although we are up